usually do. So I'm Mike Edmonds, the chair of the community board. As we usually do, we're going to start off with public forum and those speakers who have come in support of a funding application. So I know that a number of you have come about the spraying. Okay, so just to let you know, I'm going to put you right at the end of everybody, and there will be a reason for that, but and it's good for you. So we'll put you at last. And then we'll just go through everybody else. So each of you has got 5 minutes, or it's basically 5 minutes per subject. If it's a funding application, we'll give you 10. So I'll just be timing that. So what we'll do is we'll start off with David. David Boyce, are you here?
Yep.
Yep, right. Away you go. Oh, so you can either stand at the podium, so whatever that is, or you can sit down at the chair and join the meeting. So yeah.
Okay. Well, just stay with me for a moment because I've never been to one of these meetings.
That's okay. Just relax and do your thing.
Yeah. No, so basically, I purchased my family inheritance, my workshop just down from the station with the main radio, and there's a little access road that which feeds my driveway, and it has an access way going to the warehouse and Countdown and various other shops up there. Now, to my memory, that road has never ever been maintained, and I believe the council own it. And the biggest problem is that when it rains, there is no drainage facility in there. The drainage was installed many years ago, crushed by numerous trucks that went through there. And so when it rains, there's massive puddles, and there's the trucks themselves can't even get through there. And there's the driveway to feed those facilities. Now, when it rains, because the drains are so blocked and crushed, all the stones that are sitting there, they just get washed out into the middle of Station Road there, which is obviously dangerous and stupid at the same time. So we're going to have someone could put into place to make it a bit of a community back to how it should be, like do the drainage and do what the council should be doing.
Okay, so are there any, I'll ask you a question in a minute. Are there any questions from the board members?
No, it is a bad shape and needs fixing.
Okay. So what, have you gone to the council, have you put an RFS in or spoken to anyone?
I talked to Emma last week about it, and she's my first port of call, so she's helping along with that little matter, because as I come a little bit green to this whole area, I've never sort of been in a room like this unless it's been for the courtroom. So
okay, so how long ago did the RFS go out?
Last 2 weeks.
Last week.
Last week.
Okay, right, yeah. Look, I mean, the community board doesn't deal with that kind of stuff, but where we do deal with it is we chase along. If you haven't got the reply from the council, then that's where we jump in and start making noises. I mean, we're here to pretty much make sure the council delivers on its promises, basically.
Yeah. Okay.
But now that you're here, we're all aware of your RFS. So we'll keep it on.
So more people hearing the same problem is a good thing.
But it's definitely council property, yeah.
I believe so, yes, because the council purchased 1 metre of my mother years ago, so the road could be formed. So I believe that is their road. So to look at the legal side, I'm not 100%, but as far as I believe, that it is owned by the council. And it is an access way for the businesses up the road as well, so it kind of points in a direction to me.
Okay. Thank you, David. Thank you. Mandaroa.
Kia ora. I have 2 points I want to bring out to you fellas.
Yep.
First is the house that's next door to me on my street. The grass is way up, nobody's living in it, it's a burnt down house. Is there anything the Farmer District can do about it? Because it's really making my place look untidy. It's horrible. The grass is way up. You can't even see the cars. It's all packed up on the lawn.
Have you gone to the reception or rung the council yet? Because that would be the best way to do it. If you think that the council should do it, then probably the best thing to do.
Well, I thought the council over here would be.
No, we're not the council. We're the community board. Okay, so we don't deal with that stuff. So we don't deal with roads and properties and all that kind of stuff.
We only deal with roads.
No, we don't deal with that. We're the community board, so we have a So there's a
shocking, it's really shocking.
I agree with you, but the council has its way of running business. Again, we sit along the outside in a policy governance / advocacy role. Okay, so to get the council doing its things, Okay, you've got to go directly to the council. So,
And then they can act on it then.
well, no, what they'll do is that they'll put it into their system, and if they can act on it, then
Because there's nobody living in it, this is why I'm a bit concerned.
I understand that.
The squatters are not there yet.
so you can either ring them, put an RFS, or you can just go to
Oh,
just do it here. Oh, yeah.
Another thing, well, I've been coming in and out the office here, and I don't see people using all the next machines for the COVID-19. Now, we've got to be careful with one another. And I've been sitting here for one whole hour, and I didn't see anybody signing them. Some use their phones, and some don't. And some don't sign. They just walk in and out.
Do you want to turn around and have a tell them off up there?
They might punch me up. They should know, but I think what you want to do business with them. Have you signed in before I do business with you?
Actually, that's a good.
Don't wait for the money. Don't wait for the money.
Okay, Sean, have you signed in? Yeah, okay. Right.
Yeah, some do and some don't, but I do know 1 hour, it's only me on that form, and I know the people that doesn't sign it.
Okay, thank you very much.
So that was my concern.
Okay, great. Okay.
There are 2 councillors here, and you'll give them some contact.
Yeah.
Yeah, good.
Right.
So,
Even in the shops in town, do business, all they want is the money before you sign.
Right.
Do it the other way around, sign before business.
Excellent. Okay, thanks.
Got up?
Very good. Now, is it Jenin?
Pardon?
No, I'm the next person. Jen Kerr. Is it Jenin Kerr?
Is it Jenny or Shem?
Jenin. And are you both of you here on the same subject?
Not exactly, no.
Okay, now sorry, Jen. Is that what?
Shem.
Okay, what's your name?
My name's Jenny.
Jenny. Okay, Jenny. Yeah, you come on up. Now, have you signed in the COVID app? Sorry, Jenny. Did you sign? Did you sign the COVID app, Jenny? I'll just ask, did you sign the COVID app when you came in?
The COVID?
Yeah, the COVID.
Can I sign it on my way out?
Of course you can.
Thank you.
I know. I just had a complaint just a minute ago about people not signing in, so I thought.
Shall I bring it in?
See you later. I'm very good about it.
Okay, come on in. Tom.
Thank you.
I'm going to get it.
Or you can sit in the chair, wherever you want.
Oh, the light is not adequate, sorry. Oh, forgot. Tēnā koutou katoa, ko manganuia wai te awa, ko hini kū taku ingoa. We appreciate all the renewal of roads around our Aruhi. Thank you.
I'll leave this here for people to sign.
Thank you, Lou. Leaving rural links to languish in favour of bigger towns is no longer the preferred option for today's need. Urban folk seek wildness to preserve and renew their sense of song.
True.
Quiet spaces to reflect and solitary recreation, as all of us need sometimes. What better opportunity than little out-of-the-way places along the Twin Coast Discovery Western Route? I'm grateful to find out recently that our community boards are set up to advocate for and support our communities. And they have this role to assist us when we unite for a vital purpose. Broadwood's latest community meeting, in accord with its own plan, recorded a unanimous agreement in this vision to reconnect the two halves of Broadwood by replacing the unusable footbridge, enabling young and old, locals and visitors of all cultures to enjoy and cross into the river directions once again, river environs once again, via its walking link. And that's from 3 directions because the Takahui Single Road is key. It was the original road to Kaikohe. Bridges in song are often a minor or sad keynote, and our bridge story is a bit tragic so far. But our new ending to an sing-along song foresees this resolved in constructive harmony. Ko tangi te pi waka waka, ko waiata te riro riro, ko waiata hoki ahau, ki hei, Māori ora.
Kia ora.
As the fantail twitters, as the grey warbler sings, so sing I. Celebrate, breathe, and life. Small Town by Andy Bassett and Taranaki, and I've got a little bit at the end. I am a small town, I'm neither here nor there, I'm just a small town where the locals stand and stare as you pass through me on the way to who knows where and break the silence hanging heavy in the air. I am a small town between points A and B. Don't look at your maps, 'cause they don't mention me. I'm miles from anywhere and an hour from the sea, and there's somewhere else that you would rather be.
Very good.
Thank you. There's the little addenda to go with this. Got too many copies here. We need a spare. Once a local built for me a very special gift. It bridged my arm for walkers till a contract for a lift, which spoiled its balanced beauty. It seems you'd risked your neck. Was it all the council's duty just to condemn the wreck? I am a small town. My footbridge is new. Tall trees inviting, and friendly folk that greet you and your car now. A highlight of your stay, refreshed, relaxed, and you go smiling on your way. Story has it that just this century, a farmer in his 90s who could no longer drive rode his horse daily 4 miles out of the hills to the bridge, tethered it there and got his mail and socialised on the steps, the shop's sunny seat, staying in touch with his town and out of a rest home. I mean, what better health outcome for an old farmer? Children today are obliged to share the windy, dusty, muddy side road with traffic until the bridge is replaced. It's no wonder the safety barriers keep going down. So in advance, I thank all of you for fulfilling your role by giving solid support to this essential link in the social, recreation, and transport network.
Okay, right, thank you. What we'll do is, if you're okay for questions?
I'm happy with questions.
Okay, any questions from?
Yeah, I have a question. Thank you for the songs and whatever. It's very good, you mentioned there in one of your poems that was read after the contract. So I just want a bit of history on it. So a contract was done to give it some repairs, and after that it just sort of...
As far as I know, John, it didn't need repairs. It was built very well. The plans are still in our possession, and it could have remained at that point, but they saw fit to put in stainless steel droppers, and they changed the whole configuration of the original permit so that it was no longer a suspension bridge. It was a wonky sort of bridge you have to surf across.
I've seen it. I've been there, seen it a few times, and to me it looked like a failed contract. I've seen it many times. It looked like a failed contract.
Very much so.
And so after the contract work, that's what I'm trying to establish. After the contract did their bit of so-called fixing, it became the new wonky bridge. Actually reminds me of the...
Yeah, and council won't have a bars crossing it because it incorporates an entry that's smack into the traffic, basically, if you make a wrong move.
Interesting, yeah.
Yeah, just consider a young cyclist having a play on this.
Oh, that'd be quite exciting, wouldn't it?
Oh, well, you can't do children.
Any other questions?
Are there a group of local people who are prepared to actually do the work if council give them the resources, etc., and pay them for it? Yeah.
I don't think council allows that anymore because they want
Well, that's
to
not
have it all
what-
insured. Pardon?
We can always try to push that.
Sorry, can I?
Yeah.
Actually, no, you
Go ahead,
can't.
Peter.
No, you
Go
can't.
ahead.
Sorry.
No, I'm not. There's just the rules of the forum.
Sure.
You know, I'm the chair, not Emma. So.
Sorry.
Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks. Shem, how much overlap?
Okay, 200 words.
Okay, so you got a couple. I'll give you 3 minutes. Mate.
Just 2 issues.
Yeah, go for it.
Mo te kupenga o Steve Crouch I runga te awa Mamanui. Right? The request is for advocacy on maintenance and for support. This picture is of the Indigenous rock carving or storyboard of Mamanui Wai. Thank you for setting. Kimtai. Kawakawa has Paritaku or Plaza. Broadwood has its swing bridge. Both are koha from residents as permanent provision of a particular core service with a specific location. Council acknowledges ownership of both. Both attracted visitors and lent mana to their locality and to the district as a whole. The tikanga is Taitiakitanga on Council's part. Council made significant structural changes to the bridge outside of the scope of the permitted plans. Shortly after that, the bridge became unusable. The community wants a replacement. Please advocate at all opportunities, including the LTP, for Broadwood to have a unique suspension footbridge that honours the awa and tangata whenua. Please support the bridge work so that this community is vibrant, healthy, safe, connected, and sustainable.
Okay, Shem, can I ask? We're just going to ask you a few questions if you don't mind. Okay, so there were 2 things there that you brought up that the council has acknowledged ownership. Okay, I mean, because I've asked this of them and they don't acknowledge it to me. Okay, so do you have any evidence of that?
Yes, we have witnesses to that statement from council staff.
Okay, so
It is on council land
yeah.
and they have acknowledged ownership.
Okay, so we're going to have to get that. Okay, so there's 2 things here. Firstly, did the staff know, and were they?
Council did the maintenance.
Yeah, that's the second question, right? That's the second question. Okay, so we effectively need, for us to move forward, okay, we need to get an accurate history of the bridge. Okay?
It is a koha. It is a koha for a particular core service on a specific site.
Well, I don't understand. What do you mean it's a koha?
It has been gifted.
To the council?
Yeah, to the council.
Okay, so there was a formal, I mean, okay, well, I'm not trying to get cute or clever here, right? But we as a board are constrained within, I guess,
I am only asking about
reality, right? Okay, and so if we don't get the right information, then we could spend years going down one angle, only to find out that we got the wrong information in the first place. Give you an example. I had a case just out here in Oni, a sports club, who wanted to change in their lease. Okay, and I fought something like 3 or 4 years for that, okay, and we got nowhere. And until I got everybody in a room, okay, and I found out there was never any lease. And we solved that within 45 seconds once I knew that bit of information. Okay, now, so, you know, if we don't have the right information, okay, and we're able to back it up, then we as a group and we are as members don't have any chance of advocating for you successfully. Okay, so when I ask, do you have evidence of ownership or anything that you're claiming, okay, it's a genuine effort to get some information that we can use to help you. Okay, it's not a bureaucracy thing. Okay, but we genuinely can't help. Okay, if we don't have the right information.
Would you like audio-visual evidence? Would that be acceptable?
Well, I mean, if it's a council staff member who went out there and merely said, "Oh, I think it's ours," okay, that doesn't cut it, right? Because that means any staff member could make a mistake and all of a sudden.
No, they said they acknowledged.
Yeah, but I mean, I've had staff members do that, and then the legal department come back and say, "Sorry, that staff member didn't know what they were talking about." Okay, so understand that this board wants to help you. Okay, but you've got to understand the way that the law works. You've got to understand the way the council works. You've got to understand the framework within which we have to live.
Yeah,
Okay.
I understand how the council works.
Yeah.
But they don't understand how the law works. And if you can tie this whole thing up and you can spend a couple $100,000 on legal stuff when you can build a bridge.
Okay. So what I'm asking you to do is bring me some kind of evidence. Okay, any kind of evidence. Okay, that the council owns the bridge. Okay, and then we can move forward in that direction. If the council doesn't own the bridge, okay, then we need to move forward in a different direction. Do you understand what I think?
So if I ask them to sell me the bridge,
Mike, can I say something, please? That asset was acquired after amalgamation. It's another asset that council acquired after amalgamation. And I think the best thing we can do at this stage is for some of us to go out there to have a look.
Okay, right.
They've talked about this for a long time.
so council has acquired it.
Okay, so
It's ownership.
That's right.
okay, so I'm going to pass over to Adam Mills. Once I've got these people answering any other further questions.
Mr. Chairman, the easiest way is to make a submission to the annual plan. Put in your application, tell them what you want, and it's a plan that deals with that.
LPP, what we want is advocacy.
No, not the long-term plan, the annual plan.
Okay, all right. I'm going to stop this right here. Okay, this is not a discussion from here. It's not, okay, but there are questions. Are there any other questions from the floor?
No, good.
Okay, right. Anna, would you like to put? Oh, you got some extra information?
I think it's just it's a long-term issue. It got confused the last annual plan. The bridge was in there for works up to 100,000. That didn't eventuate. So the question of ownership, it's not on an asset register. So, but I know I know how the community feel about it. I don't know in terms of next steps we could provide you with an information report. Perhaps.
Yeah, I mean, that's the key, right? I mean, if it's in council ownership, okay, if it can be shown to be in council ownership, then we could reasonably claim that it should have been maintained. But if it's not, then what we've got to do is we've got to then get another solution. Okay, and that's my point, right? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how hard you wish, how hard you shout that it's in council ownership. If it's not, all you're doing is delaying us starting a new project to get the bridge done. Okay, so like I say, just we need to get that information first, because if we keep on shouting and it turns out to be wrong, we're wasting a year or two shouting when we could have got right onto the job of getting it into a long-term plan and getting a new bridge or whatever we had. So that's what I'm saying. Okay, I'm not against what you're asking for. I'm just saying we need to get the information, because if we don't, we're going in the wrong direction.
Excuse me, Mr. Chairman. June has all the information that we require.
Well, then that's cool. Then let's get it to us.
She will. She'll give it to us.
Thank you, Chair.
Yeah.
A couple of things. One, the last I remember reading about this was that when our staff went out to work with the community, with the kids, it was looking like we would potentially looking at a playground going in there rather than the bridge. That was the last thing I remember reading. That's just what I wanted to bring up and see what's happening there. The other thing was, if you think that you can bring a large group of your community together, the council will be going on a roadshow, will come to you to look at 4 consultation projects. So if we can get your contact details, we can pass it on to staff so that the council staff can come to you to look at our representation review, our long-term plan, our Farmers 2100 plan, and the last one is the district plan, which are all going up for consultation at the same time. So you've come here today, well, we can come to you as elected members and as staff. So if I can get a contact detail, I'll put it on the list.
Excellent, cool. Okay, thank you.
Mr. Chairman,
Yep.
council is using that as a negotiating position.
Oh, look, this is not a debate. Okay, no, it's not a debate. Okay, we've heard you. Moko will talk to you. Look, deal with the members individually. Okay, but if June you have evidence that the council owns it, then bring that to the party, because like I say, I mean, the more information we get, the more accurate information we get, then we know where to start. But that's absolutely crucial. If we don't have accurate information, then we'll go in the wrong direction, and you will still be complaining here a year or 2 down the track. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to ask a question.
Yep.
When are the submissions closed for the annual plan? When do they close?
This year will be for the long-term plan.
No,
it'll be in June. This is our long-term plan year.
Doesn't council take any more for the annual plan?
No.
Every year you put out a budget, annual plan, it's called. Don't you take any more submissions for that?
Mr. Chair, the answer to Laurie that we don't have to actually go to consultation of the annual plan, and so often they don't do that. But right this year we're going to do both. We've got the long-term plan and the annual plan to be in there, and there are submissions. So what was actually said, what Morgan was saying?
They'll open in March and close in June.
We will be going out there. Em and I sort of offered to go out there and talk. So we'll get the contacts into contact and work through whoever we want to do, and we'll make sure we go out there and make it more than once and get all the detail. Because Mike is correct. We need that information, and then on that basis we can then make the right calls.
Mr. Chairman, I've got to ask the question. We're expecting these people to come up with the information. How do you get the staff? How do you actually talk to staff? You can't even get them. How does that happen?
Okay, we're going to wrap up the okay. They're making claims that the council owns it, okay, and they claim that there's evidence, so I'm all asking, bring the evidence, that's all I'm saying. Okay?
No, but why should they have to bring the evidence?
Because they're making some claims.
Council are here, they must know what they own.
And they're saying they don't own it. You just heard Anna a few moments ago saying the council doesn't own it.
No. Look, I've been involved with...
Stop, right, this is over. Okay, thank you. Right, this one's over, this is not a debate. If you want a public meeting about this, okay, you need to talk to one of your councillors, okay, and they will organise it with the council. You can or Anna, okay, but today's not the place for that. You brought your point, and we've made our point. Okay, thank you. Sean.
My issue today, Mr. Chairman, is neglect of town maintenance. I'm going to back it up with hard evidence, photographs within the last few days. Initially, my first issue is mowing of the roadsides. Down at the end of Station Road, and this first rose its ugly head when my culprit was around, and he said, it's in the contract, they have to do it. It's not done today. Through these bundles, I've got photographs of evidence of neglect on footpaths, poor maintenance, and substandard workmanship. We won't go through them all. I'll leave it for you to go through quietly yourself afterwards. The locations are all put on the back. There is very definite concrete evidence of lack of maintenance in this town. It's not good enough, not acceptable, and it wouldn't happen in Kaikohe. So it's not going to happen here. I leave it just like that. because you can think about it. But in your agenda today, Mr. Chairman, I notice on the last page, that little block of land there, that's been under negotiation for 25 years. It's owned by Grey Phillip. There's 2 acres involved. It actually enhances the concept of what could happen in Memorial Park. And I would like to see, before I die, that come into council ownership so they can be developed properly. I think I mentioned before that there is an ideal spot for a concrete pad for kids to do their wheelies, etc., on a motorbike, and a decent sized pump track, whatever you call it. And at the end, one day, in the fullness of time, a really good swimming bar complex. That 2 acres is essential to Kaikohe's development, maybe not for today, but very definitely in the foreseeable future. Because what happens out there at the industrial park will influence what happens in this town, and the population will increase. And Kaikohe's natural advantage is that there are lots of little sections already serviced and already capable of taking additional housing complexes. It's ideally suited to take care of any foreseeable future population growth. The time is now we take advantage of what our natural assets are. And
do we take questions? Do you want to take questions? Are you okay with questions?
Oh, yes.
Okay, anybody got a question for Sean? No?
I understand exactly what I'm talking about.
I'm just, I've got one with regard to land. Sean, I've got a question with regard to that piece of land. I thought there were some discussions already had in the past on that.
It's been going on for 25 years, Louis.
And was there a price agreed on anything?
Originally, we were talking 64, but at today's values, I think would be near 100, and he would take it.
So remind me, sorry, my memory's not quite right, Sean, so maybe you can help me. Okay, so you were a community board member for 3 years?
Yeah.
So what happened when you were a community board member? So how did that progress in your time?
I'm not sure, to be quite honest. But it's languished. It didn't come to proper fruition. Okay. But it can do now, and I would like to see it before I die.
Okay, right, thank you.
And I had my 3 score years in 10. I'm still a bloody teenager.
Thank you, Sean. Oh, did you sign in, Sean? Did you sign in?
Did you sign the sheet there for the COVID? Don't forget, I think you're the first on that list, don't you?
Okay, Brian, you here?
Yep.
You've got 10 minutes, if you want to.
Thank you. My name is Brian Bessie, and we're just coming to, it's my friend Wally to do that.
Actually, we're
talking about Wally. We're just coming today anyway to seek a bit of funding from council, and thank you for having us. And anyway, our idea is, and our vision is, to be able to bring 40 men together throughout the far north, from the North Hokianga, South Hokianga, Kaikohe district, and throughout the far north, just to be able to bring them together to be able to encourage, build up, and the fishing camp is all about a little bit of a hook to bring them along, get men into an environment that they enjoy and be a part of. Throughout the camp, we're going to be teaching on, we have 4 or 5 speakers that will be speaking on just family life, encouraging workplace, family, work, things like that. And so the speakers are just fathers, grandfathers, who are just sharing a bit of their wisdom over the course of the camp. So we have a little bit of a fishing competition going on, which requires funding. So we're just reaching out to be able to get that funding to meet the needs of the venue, the food, and different things incorporated in the camp. This is our second camp that we've had. We had one 3 years ago which helped 23 men came along. It was a success. So last year we were going to hold one, but because of COVID we were shut down. So just giving it another go.
Did you sign in by the way?
No. Yes, thank you. Any questions?
Okay, yeah, go.
Look, I think this is fantastic. Is there an age limit?
There is an age limit, 18 years up to very old. So it is for men, and it's all about encouraging others and young men to be involved in the community.
I love this idea, but I do have a question about the prizes. Why do you need prizes?
Just to go along with the pushing competition of the day.
Okay, so what are the prizes?
The prizes are just will be like just casting rods and for like longest snapper or longest.
Okay, so something they can take home and bring in home later.
Take home, yes. To go but it's more about the camp is more about coming together and being encouraging to each other and just building community.
So,
Yep.
Yeah. Risky being told off by the chair. What is this for you? Does this fit, because you mentioned to me your vision for the youth in this town, does this fit with the overall picture? Yeah, and that's how it's related. When you come back to next community board meeting, I'd like to do. Are you going to share on it?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Totally agree. I'll
That's all good.
whia mai kate, kia pui koutou katoa, nō reira, tēnā koutou katoa. My name is Wally Tehia. I've been a member of the police for over 13 years, working with young people, youth of our community. We won't go there because it'll be a big debate, but I already know what's been happening in the community. I'm there to be a mouthpiece for our young rankai, our young youth, our kids, and all these ones that are on the street. I'm out there in the community, doing what I can do best, supporting and helping these young people. But the purpose of this event, which I support quite highly in regards to the work that I do, over those 13 years, I've been running camps, youth camps, taking these kids fishing. Hence the reason why this is 18 up, so I can fish. But taking kids out and, building relationships. As you know, we have a high suicide rate in our community at the moment. And for us, this is a good event where we can attract men that are, struggling in marriages, relationships with the young kids. So we're there to support and just have that man stuff, because we all know that our wives, they want one too. So that's another thing. But at the moment, we're here just to build men up. So it's about building those relationships, marriages, families, even our hapu and our iwi. And also teaching and building leadership skills and life skills, because a lot of these young people that I work with don't have a father. So here's the reason for this, for us to, put this event on. And we're lacking positive role models. We're lacking mentors. And so I guess through this event that we are able to build those young men up, and men that are already in marriage relationships, to have a better life, I guess. And so I support this entirely, and I know that through this, we're just asking, probably requesting just a portion of what we can offer to make this event successful. So there might be some men out the back here, like Christian. So we've got flyers, and we have a website. So and we have many people from other communities that support this, particular local churches in Kirikiri, Kaikohe-Hokianga, and Kaikohe-Hokianga. So this is what it is about.
Right. Any questions from our members here?
Is it likely that one of your women colleagues who works in the police can do a woman's one beside the men? Not in the next few years.
Yeah, I can't see why not. You know,
Yeah.
I can't see one day we can let the women go out and coach them, and then they should probably run their own fishing camps. But we've got to put it. Water is really safety, and that's our priority around. It's paramount that we make sure that everyone's safe. You know, Brian's a member of the Coast Guard. I'll be contacting police in the local area, which is in Waimea, beautiful place up at Toby Bay, and it is a good campsite there where we all can meet and just have a good, you know, everyone knows around the campfire that good discussions can come out of that. So,
Okay, more questions? Right, thank you very much, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, Peter, are you here?
Yes.
Come on up. Have you signed in?
No, but I will. I'll do that after this.
Yeah.
Okay, kia ora everybody. I'm here to use my 5 minutes.
You got 10, sorry, because you're a
10, cool. Okay, I'll just say everything again. To plead for funding for the entertainment section of the North Hokianga AMP show, which is to be held in Broadwood, 20th of February this year. My name's Peter McRae. I'm here representing the North Hokianga AMP Association. Last year, my brother Angus stood in front of the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board to make a presentation for seeking funding, which the board was kind enough to give us some. He also successfully applied to the Creative Communities Scheme and got some funding from them, and combined covered about 50% of our costs for our project. That 50% is around about $3,700, which is what we're applying for this year. Unfortunately, this year we missed the deadline for the Creative Community Scheme to apply for funding from that. So we need the board to please be twice as generous this year for us. Much appreciated. What is the project? It's the entertainment section that we have added to the North Hokianga AMP show. It includes things like kapahaka, waiata, an open mic session, and music bands. Why are we doing this? We did it to get more involvement in the show from the wider communities, e.g. Kohukohu, Pawarenga, Pangaru, Terakino, and the show has often been referred to as the Broadwood show. It's not, it's a North Hokianga show. And that's why we, as in the association, wanted to make a real effort to reach out and include the wider communities that aren't normally represented that well at the show historically. It's about the people. So we added the entertainment section to the show for the first time last year, and it went very, very well. How did we do this? We provided a stage, a mic, a sound system, local music groups, and a generator for power. One obvious way to connect with those wider communities is through the schools and asking them to perform. Te Kura Taumata o Pangaru with the Star School last year. In the handouts that I hope you all had, you'll see a couple of photos there of the kids from Pangaru School performing last year. The open mic session got other groups and individuals up on the stage to perform as well. Many of these people and the people there watching them and supporting them, again, would not normally be at the show, but we were able through this event last year to bring along, like I say, many people from those wider communities. The headline acts were 2 bands, firstly the Hokianga Country Music Club, and secondly Chima Māori, which is a Kaitaia-based band, but with its, I think, a number of band members who've got roots in Pawarenga, and they played music well into the night. Again, great feedback was received on them. Which is you'll see in those handouts. So the handouts is, like I said before, there's some photos there of the kids from Pangaru School performing, also people watching. There's a photo there of, you can see the school, the Broadwood School and the Broadwood Hall. And all of the traffic there just gives an indication of how many people come along to our show and how well liked it is. And then the other photo looking through the showgrounds, and you've got in the background the trees, and in there, nestled in there, is where we have the entertainment section, and also other event parts of the show. It's a lovely, beautiful setting and creates a really great atmosphere. So obviously we are very keen to do the same thing again, and this year and need your funding to do so. One thing in the back of the handout is just some Facebook posts on the North Hokianga Facebook site with feedback after the show there was a couple of businesses there who had their stands and just commenting what a great community show it is and what a great feel we have there. One thing I did want to read is the post that my brother, who's Vice President, he put on after the show last year, which I felt the first couple of paragraphs just gave a good summary of the show and how well it went, and when he was thanking everyone. He says, in typical Hokianga fashion, a whole lot of people stood up big time to make the music go off. Bruce Walker and Leah from Kaikohe opened the proceedings with great style and finesse. The tamariki and staff from Pangaru School with the kapahaka performance were immense. What a credit these pupils are to their school and their community. Bronnie Proctor, she's from Paorenga, as the MC was awesome. Thank you to Hori Proctor, who's her husband, for unknowingly sponsoring the open mic competition. The homegrown talent of John, Denny and Whānau was huge. I've been listening to their CD in my truck for the last 3 days. Lovely to see the very enjoyable Hokianga Country Music Club come over from the south side to entertain us. Hori for cajoling and inspiring the tug of war combatants. And finally to Chira Māori, who managed to get even the two left people amongst us up dancing and rocking. So look, it's an event that like I said, last year was the first time we did it. We got really good feedback from it. We felt we really created that atmosphere to be able to involve the wider community, and we're obviously very keen to do it again.
Great, thank you, Peter. Right, we'll start with you, Kelly. Your question.
I'll wait for a kettle allowed because of microplastic, or is that still out?
That's still out. Yeah.
Any other questions?
Yeah, I went to last year's event, great event. I've been to a couple of years. It's to do with your form of the question. Like you asked for a 3720, but the figures you've written down here come to 1795. So I think what you've done is you've just written down half the amount that you can claim and not taken into consideration all the volunteer effort. So actually wants 3,720.
We do, because those are the fixed costs that we have. Those are the bands, the sound system, the generator, that we just have to write checks out for all of those for $3,720 worth. And yes, you're right, I included 50% of the volunteer hours in my calculations, I think. Probably, in hindsight.
No, well, you could have asked for all those things.
Yeah.
And the volunteer input would have been your 50%, up to 50%.
Sure.
Is that form correct enough for us to give them the whole amount?
Oh, look, we'll discuss that later. It's not now.
Yeah, but like I say, that 3,700 is those are the checks we will have to be writing out to make this happen.
And you charge people to get in?
Yes, we charge $5 only for adults, and I think it's $1 for kids up to 16 years of age, so it's minimal cost.
Any more questions? Now, just an aside, did you ever get your rates problem sorted out?
Did we have any?
Did you ever get your rates problem sorted out? The council were charging you a massive amount of rates, as I understood, and there was a bit of a...
I don't know.
Okay,
I'll have to talk to our treasurer about that.
Yeah,
I haven't heard anything. It wasn't raised at the last meeting, so I'm assuming it was.
Okay, thank you.
I hope so.
Great, good luck. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you, Peter.
Kia ora. Thanks.
Heather, are you here?
Yeah.
Come on up. Have you signed in?
Have you signed in, Mike?
I haven't, no. Yeah, later. Just, I promised Motorola that I'd ask everybody, so I've got to ask.
Maybe they should sign them while they get them.
Kia ora tātou. Kia ora.
Away you go.
Right. Well, it's lovely to be here. Thank you very much for asking, for allowing Denise and I to come on behalf of the Neniwa Collective. I'm not quite sure how far to go back for you. I know that a year ago we did apply to the community board and we were not successful, and we weren't successful with anything because COVID happened. We were going with our projection project in April, but that didn't happen. However, it's all changed and we've reapplied. The projection project, just for any of you who may not have been here when that presentation was made, I wasn't here personally, I was in Auckland, but I know that Laurie Royal came on our behalf and Janine Randerson came in by Skype, and that's how it was presented that time. This is a projection project onto the Neniwa dune out of Ngāpiri Opanoni. The basis of the project is environmental. So we've looked at what would we use in that imagery, what is one of the biggest challenges for us in our communities at the moment, and this is certainly the environmental issue around the Waipoa and the Transom, and I'm not so sure about the northern side, but what's happening up there. But that and our awa, of course, the condition of the awa as well. So that's the essential heart of the project. However, it is a project which we now or have been all the way along in partnership with Te Rarawa, because we're on the mana whenua, obviously, so we're on Te Rarawa ground. So we're working with them. And they have been absolutely wonderful and are increasingly so as we're getting closer and closer to the actual projection. We have been successful with funding from Foundation North and also from the community, creative communities. However, we still are needing, as the project has moved along, it's attracted, more and more to it, and which is meaning that we're having to try and find, a bit more to support it. We're coming specifically to today we've asked for, I think we asked for $2,000. I do apologise. Our production manager is not well, and we've been trying to get her for a couple of days. We've had a Zoom meeting just with our collective yesterday afternoon, and I haven't actually seen or been reminded of what we've applied for, but I'm pretty sure it's around the audio production. So the second part of, or piece of our project is not only the projection on the 13th of March, to which some boats will be able to come out, but not a lot of people will be able to physically attend that projection event because of the logistics of it, of where the boat is and how many boats you can have alongside so that they can still see what's happening. And to address that, we've always intended to have a video documentation using drone and at least 2 cameras. So, and that the intention of that document is to be able to be used in other places at other times, for other people to share this experience, and for it to have an educational purpose as well. So what we've realised is that the quality of that document and creating that document is actually more challenging and more monetarily challenging than we originally thought. to support that, we have realised just very recently, even since we made the application to the board, that we're going to need a DOP, we're going to need a director of photography. That's another cost that it's not included in our application, but it is another cost that we're going to have to face. And that's $1,000 for a day. So there's that. The other one that's come up since our application is the Aviation Authority has changed the rules around using a drone in the evening. So if you want to use a drone going, apparently it's after about 8:45 in this area at that time of the year, you have to go through a special licensing test, and there's a monetary application for that as well, which is $400. So I'm just explaining these couple of things that have just come in the last few days to our attention that we're going to have to find money for. So we would very much like the board to support us in our application for the making of this document. I'd just like to add to that Te Rarawa I mentioned have really come on board with us now. They're now taking over the pōkiri side of things, which will include kapahaka and also the karakia and the mihi and all of those sorts of things, which all need to be videoed for, longer use, later use. And that, even that is expanding. We wouldn't be doing it in this, we couldn't do it without them. And so we're very, very grateful. And we do want to support that in every way that we possibly can. So I think you probably will have questions. I just don't want to repeat a whole lot of stuff that you've already heard.
That's okay, right. So we'll open the floor to questions from our members. Any questions?
Kia ora. I have been lucky enough to see a photo of the practice projection on the Waju that one of my relations had on their phone, and it looked pretty cool, to be honest. But my question is around the funding side of things. I see that you've been approved funding from Creative Communities and Foundation North to the sum of $26,950 in the application, but the expenses that are listed only total to $21,308. So according to the application, you actually have a surplus, but you are asking us for the extra $2,000 to go towards the audio visual capturing of this event. I just wanted to question that difference in the application figures that are there, because according to your application you don't need our money, but according to you do. So I just wanted to question that. And also, will the videos that are captured of this be made openly available to the public, and will they be easily accessible? How will they be archived so that those who don't get to share this experience in person, how will they capture it? And that was the first question about the funding application. The second question about how the video will be made available to others. And I forgot my two questions, so I need to.
Okay, thank you. First question, read the funding. We got $24,950 from Foundation North. We got $2,000 from Creative Communities. I think that adds up to a different sum.
26,900.
So that's that. Secondly, I can assure you, having just been through the budget last night with our group, we had about $34 that wasn't accounted for with everything going forward. So, and that's, I think that was even thinking that if we were successful with you for the two that we've already applied for, it would still leave us about $34. left, and we have other expenses, as I've just been explaining. With regard to the availability of the video for other people, that's a conversation that we still have to have with Te Araroa. It is not ours. It is not ours. We don't own it. This is a non-profit. We are a group of 4 artists who've put this project together for our communities. And so there's no looking at any financial gain in any shape or form. In terms of the availability, that conversation needs to be had with Te Araroa, because they may decide, with the people that are contributing, like Joe Cooper, for example, who's given us a kōrero that we can use in Te Reo. They may decide, no, look, we don't want this going everywhere and anywhere and all the rest of it. We want certain boundaries around sections of this and the way in which it's done. So I'm sorry I can't answer that question at the moment, but it will evolve. I was speaking to Andrew yesterday, and he was saying that, yes, he's going to try and get us together with the trust, the Tupuna Trust, in the next week or so, to have that conversation.
I think for me, thank you for answering the first question. I knew that you wouldn't come and ask us for money if you didn't need it, of course. But on paper, you didn't need it, so I just wanted to clarify that. And in regards to my second question around the availability of that video, I guess I would be more apprehensive to put funding from our community board, which is for the community, towards something like the capturing of this, if I knew that it wasn't definitely going to be available for the likes of me who probably won't be able to make it to see it. And if it comes down to Te Araroa not wanting to, and I understand that the cultural knowledge or the not wanting to share that if it's 2,000 to be able to secure, to capture that I would very much hope that my iwi, Te Araroa, would pick up that bill, that they are going to hold on to the mana of this video footage. And I also know that Bell's Produce is doing very well now. so that's what I would have to say to that. So unfortunately, you haven't had that hui with them yet to know that. But I would be, at this point in time, more apprehensive to give money over to something I know would be publicly available, so that all of Kaikohe can.
Thank you, Morgan. Right.
I think, can I just reply to that?
Actually, no, because it wasn't a question. I normally like to keep my members to questions rather than so Moko broke the rules, so you can't answer his rule breaking. I'm sorry. Okay. Any other questions?
Yeah, I was going to have a question, partly answered now, but I was wondering if it was going to be live streamed at all, because I won't be there on the day of the hospital. Will it be live streamed so I can watch it from somewhere else?
We are looking into the possibility of live streaming because we realise that, it's limited the way it is at the moment. I haven't got the answer. That would cost as well, and we haven't got the money to do that at the moment. I think the intention always was that this was to be shared. It wasn't just for, 100 people on the night. So, and the intention of that was to share it through calls, marae, schools, etc., not only in our community, but essentially, first and foremost, within our Hokianga communities, Northland communities, but it could, I know there's interest in it to go further, but it's not for our committee solely to be able to say, yep, we can do this. It may very well be that the trust, the Te Araroa Trust, may say, yeah, no, we want to see that happen, and tick the box.
Cool. Thank you very much. Great.
Thank you very much.
Jenny McDougall, are you here? It's okay.
I stand at the door. in case you want to ask. Kia ora, my name is Pam Collins. This is Jenny McDougall and Fiona Fleming and Dallin August. We are all members of the Manaki Tinana Trust, and which is moment running the Hokianga Community Gym. I made my introduction. I've got a list. Okay. First off, in 2019, in May, we came to the community board and they gave us funding and we were able to buy gym equipment. And that really set us on its way. And this is us thanking you at this point for that. If we didn't thank you enough at the time. The Manaki Tinana Trust promotes physical activity and wellness, and we have been able to provide the gym with the help of the community, tons of volunteer hours. At the moment, we have 148 members, and now I think I'll pass you on to Jenny, who can, as a board member, can speak to our application.
So among our 148 members, we have a subgroup called the Over 60s Women's Group, and that is an exercise group that meets 3 times a week, and it's specifically focused on getting older women moving and exercising and hopefully holding our osteoporosis back. So the gym is wonderful and we're very grateful for all the equipment. We also have a lot of funding from Club Charity, but it is in a very small space and it's probably about half the size of this room. So while the over 60s group of gym members use that space, we also like to do aerobics, twist ball, a fabulous yoga teacher here, and for that we need a large empty space. So over the last 18 months we have given a koha to the Rowing School to use the school hall. We had to leave that when they wanted it back because they were doing renovations and needed classrooms. So our next step was to move into Rad and Rauni, which was also a great space, but too small for us, especially as our group grew, and we had the COVID restrictions, we had to have physical spacing. So our third option, so we've done the rounds of all the spaces in Rauni now, I think. Our third option is the Rauni Town Hall. We've got a lease on there just for 2 sessions a week at $15 a session, so it's $30 a week. So our members who have already paid $100 gym sub also have to pay for that, and most of us are retired. It's creating hardship for this group of over 60s women to have to pay as well. So it's taken effectively our gym membership from $100 to $200 to $300 each. So what we're asking for is funding for that, so we can pay for the hall for a year. And we've got, Fiona's got, just so you kind of get a visual on this, she's got a photo of the gym interior, which just shows, while it's a great space, it's no good for, there's no floor space there for aerobics.
Yeah. Cool. Any questions? You open for questions, or you got more to say?
We've got Dallin, who's our chairperson.
Very good trainer.
Yeah, a fabulous trainer. Yes.
Kia ora, my name is Dallin. I just want to thank you for giving our ladies the opportunity to speak about our gym. I think for me, I would just love to see us being able to communicate with you better throughout this year. It's all for the well-being of our community and for others, and we just want to move forward, but we just need that space to have our classes and things like that. But our ladies, they do a great job and they do it thoroughly. Thank you.
You okay for questions? Okay, questions?
Yeah, I've got one.
Yeah.
With the hall, you've got plenty of space there. Do you envisage your numbers growing?
Well, we've got a group of 20 at the moment, but yes, I think it's possible, especially with the larger space. We couldn't have grown while we were in Rad, because we were really stretched out and fitting the next person, you know. So that's possible. Our gym membership seems to be growing all the time.
Okay, so
Also, having extra space means that we can do sort of things with a Swiss ball and other things that, again, just take up more space.
But we are planning on promoting to get more women involved, definitely.
so on average, how many people come to a session?
Between 10 and 20.
That's just the their class.
That's just a
Oh, that's okay. No, I was just checking your mathematics. Yeah.
Long term, what our big plan is to have another building alongside the existing gym building, which we share with the Sailing Trust, so that we can have that space dedicated, just an empty space, dedicated for Tai Chi, for yoga, for aerobics, or we'll just expand into that when we can.
Great stuff. Any other questions?
Yeah, Gina, can I just sort of clarify something? I'm getting a wee bit confused there. You're saying that there's 10 or 20 from that 148, is that right? Of that 148?
Yeah.
Now they pay $100 first, and is that for the membership of the gym?
Yes.
And then for this session, they pay an extra on top of, okay.
Yes, so that adds up. We're all gym members. We can access the gym 24/7, and we do circuits, but we also have this other space that we do aerobics and yoga in, and we pay on top of that ourselves.
Okay.
Yeah. So each of us is paying probably, instead of paying just 100, we're paying about 200 to 300 each, depending on how many people come. Yeah.
Okay. Any other questions? Thank you very much. Right.
Mr. Chairman, I'd like to go back to Sean if possible. He was so wound up, I didn't really understand what he was all about.
Well, we're going to have a break shortly.
That last plan. The last plan, Renee Riley, she did the plan for this, and I think it's a great concept. But what was he on about? About buying land? What's he on about?
Oh, look, let's have that discussion. We'll at the end of the meeting rather than.
Mr. Chairman, if we don't get, we're wasting our time sitting here. You seem to be more worried about the rules. I want to hear what he had to say. He was so wound up, I didn't understand what he was on about.
Okay.
Why can't I ask that question?
You could have at the time.
Pardon?
You could have at the time. Okay, we're not going to keep going back and back. We're not. We're just going to. You're going to have to keep up, Laurie.
What's the time?
Okay, right. Gail.
Yeah.
Come on up.
Okay. I'm actually going to sit down when I haven't signed the thing.
Spraying.
So my name's, well, how long have I got? You were going to tell me why we've got that, and why it was good.
Okay, right. Look, we're going to start. Can you get your stuff over and done with 10 minutes? Because I mean, sorry, 5 minutes, and then we're going to. The questions are probably going to go on for that and that.
Okay.
So how about you get to the point as quickly as you can, and then we'll see where we go from there.
Okay. So my name is Gail Aiken. I live in Umanaya, and I'm one of the organisers for the Hokianga Environmental Group, and for quite some time we've been trying to get the practice of spraying the verges and public spaces with herbicide. And numbers have put in submissions. Personally, we've spoken to the council, and about a year before COVID, we were organising a community cleanup, and the spraying was going to happen that week. So I asked them to postpone spraying until after the community cleanup, and then within that context of that conversation with Andy Finch, we started looking at alternatives and whether we could have alternatives. It kind of got mired, we got nowhere. So I'm now here to ask for the community board's support with this on behalf of the Hokianga Environmental Group and the 645 people who signed the petition, 140 of which signed within the last 24 hours. So the concerns about the roadside spraying are really well documented, and I sent a letter to all of the community board members. So you've all actually had a letter from me, which I didn't get a response from other than from Louis, but that's all good. So there are many concerns within the Hokianga community and across the Whānau. The Rāui plan includes statements about not wanting herbicide use within the township. The Rowley plan also refers to wanting to have regenerative practices. The concerns about the use of glyphosate and the other herbicides are kind of fairly well documented, I would say. In my letter, I refer to that both glyphosate, so this spraying was going to use glyphosate and metaron, which is a form of metasulfuron. The concerns about glyphosate being a carcinogen are actually really well documented, and there are currently lawsuits happening in the United States where Bayer, despite their massive fortune, have been unable to stop the lawsuits and to have them find in their favour. So basically, Bayer keep losing the lawsuits. The WHO classified glyphosate as a carcinogen a few years ago, and then that was overturned recently by pressure, presumably from the big corporations. However, in 2019, and this Jessie McVeigh found this from yesterday, that in 2019, the University of Washington did a metadata analysis of the use of glyphosate, and the spraying of glyphosate, according to these are scientists, this isn't the jury, this isn't the legal people, this is scientists, that there is a 41% increase in non-Hodgkin's lymphoma if glyphosate is used. So the health concerns are well documented. People are concerned about themselves, they're concerned about their children, they're concerned about the workers that the council is actually contracting out to spray these toxins. In addition, glyphosate was actually developed as I didn't realise this until quite recently, but it was developed initially as an antibiotic. It kills the life in the soil, and it is also classified as a necrotic toxin. And of course, all the way around the Hokianga, when they're spraying with glyphosate, most of those roadsides go straight into our harbour. So we're, on the one hand, we've got lots of groups out there trying to look at the health of the harbour, the health of the rivers. The council making noises about the health of the rivers and the health of the harbour, and yet we're spraying thousands or hundreds of kilograms of this stuff onto the roadsides. The other toxin that they use is metasulfuron, a form of metasulfuron, and metasulfuron is specifically an aquatic toxin. It's not supposed to be sprayed on the roadsides by the watersides, and it is. And I included in my letter this is the hazard sheets from their own data, so it's not somebody else's opinion, it's what the producers of those chemicals actually say. The other big concern about the roadside management, and of course we had that big fire in Rowley recently, which started on the roadside, is that when they're spraying and they haven't mowed first, then you end up with just standing dead plant material that must be a fire hazard. I spoke with the contractors, and they say that mowing itself can potentially be a hazard and heighten the fire season, but I know that they've actually just mowed, so the verges have actually been mowed. So what we're asking for is we're asking for the community board support to support these communities in Hokianga, to actually get the council to listen to us and to actually trial alternatives. That's actually what we're asking for. What we want is for FNDC to change the whole of the roadside management practice across the district. But we recognise that every time we mention it, we get told it's an economic concern and we can't do it economically. And I would argue that the economics of not doing it, we're talking about spraying a carcinogen around our population, and the results of that and the cost of that may be hidden, but it's a cost to our community, and it's also a cost to the community in terms of the health of the rivers. So we recognise that we're not going to get the council to stop everything immediately, but we keep saying we want them to trial it in Hokianga. There's a lot of feeling in Hokianga. Try the alternatives. I don't believe that the sky's going to fall if we just mow. Yeah, it's like, what we want them to do is we want them to stop the spraying. We want them to mow and see what the mowing regime would need to be, and then identify if there are problem areas like spots where you need more than mowing, to look at what the alternatives are. And we had a practice of a thing called foam stream in Rowley, which is is a non-toxic thing that does kill Kaikohe. There's steam treatment, there's hot water treatment, but we want the council to actually work with our community to look at alternatives and to actually not just say we can't do this because it's too expensive, but to say, yeah, we're actually open to this and we're going to try and find alternatives. Yeah?
Right. Thank you, Gail. We're going to start off with you last. Kelly. We'll start off with you. We'll go in this direction. No? Laurie?
They sprayed my road and then they came along and mowed it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense to you. Sorry. But that's what happened.
Yeah.
Unbelievable.
I'm fine. I've been following information.
I mean, I fully support what you're doing, but the question I need to ask is, because the regional council is responsible for the waterways, are you actually going to the regional council as well, just to make them aware of it? Good. Thank you.
Yeah, we've all banged our head on that particular law several times.
Okay.
Okay.
We'll continue to do so.
Yeah, so Louis, question?
Yeah.
This is a question, right?
I just lost train of thought there. Yeah, no, it's in our community plans. They've been put together by people in the community. Now, you've got a whole lot of names on your list of on your petition.
Yeah.
How many of those people are local? Have you had a chance to go through them?
I wanted to talk to him yesterday. I only put it out this morning. Rowney, Kaitaia, Christchurch, but the person could be there through. Why? Because it's a Maori name. Rowney, Waimaku, Noni, Hokianga, Russell, Keri, Omaka. There are some who are from without the area, but there are a lot of locals.
That's good.
And you can, have this. I mean, the context of the petition was that we started that before the thing with Andy Finch happened, and it had 524 signatures on it, and I had to kind of restart it, and we got 140 signatures in 24 hours. This is an issue, and I have to say that the battle of the council using the COVID money to spray broader on the roadsides actually, I think, has really kind of angered people and reinvigorated the opposition to this. And I know that was a one-off thing, but it's very badly handled.
Michael, you got a question?
I do actually.
It's a question?
Yes.
You started at the start, Gail, talking about the sort of David and Goliath battle that internationally people are having over this. And I actually really love that. Despite that, you're still going for it. Do you have any examples, whether it be in New Zealand or internationally, where communities have been successful in terms of overturning something like this, or where a council has opted to take a cleaner, safer approach to roadside sprays?
Several countries have banned it. I mean, it's banned in quite a lot of places. It has been banned in several countries there.
Australia.
And there's a lot of some parts of Australia have banned it. And those lawsuits are interesting. I mean, if you remember, I don't know if you saw it, but it started with that there was a guy who was working for something, public authority thing, and he was spraying and he got non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, and he was the first person, and he got awarded millions in damages from there. And of course, Monsanto, they bought Monsanto, and they're trying to shift it and do that corporation thing. And I think that the damages got reduced, but there were still millions. And there's a whole string of like other cases going through, and they have thrown so much at it, and they just keep losing. So that's a bit David and Goliath thing, and an example of people losing. I can certainly supply you with a list of places that it's been banned. Definitely.
Louis? Yeah, I know what I was going to ask. Recently there's been a lot of comment about Japan banning honey from New Zealand if it's got glyphosate in it. And I think yesterday the mayor had a meeting with Komatua here.
It didn't happen.
Sorry?
It didn't happen, I don't think.
Did it happen?
It was cancelled because of the tanning.
Oh, okay, sorry.
For 2 weeks.
Okay, so that's still going to happen in the future, but there is concern because the Hokianga produces a lot of honey, Manuka honey, that gets exported overseas. Yeah.
There's a question.
How do you feel about that?
I think it's terrible. And I was invited to go to the meeting yesterday, and then I was informed that it had been postponed for 2 weeks, which was a shame. I mean, I think there's that economic cost as well. And I think the thing about this is I'm sure possibly on paper it is cheaper for the council to just continue hosing the place down with carcinogens, but it's not really the point. You know, there are lots of knock-on effects to this. The health of the people, the health of the rivers, the health of the environment, and economic concerns as well. I just think this council needs to step up. And the other thing is, I think the CEO was going to actually postpone the spraying, and they're due to spray around it this week. All we're asking for is for some a serious trial of alternatives. It's not set up to fail, because what we don't want is for the council to set us up to fail, which is a concern. You know, that they say, yeah, we'll try it, but they don't really mean that they're going to try it. They mean that they're going to try it, but not with an open mind. So we want the community board to support us on this and to actually take it forward and to get an end to this once and for all and be leaders for a change.
sorry, I didn't quite get that last sentence.
We'll become leaders rather than followers.
No, the entire sentence.
That's it. I can't remember it.
We want the community board to be leaders for a change. I'm deeply hurt, thank you.
I think I'm referring to the council rather than the board. I want the council to be leaders.
Okay, right.
For a change.
Right. Right. The CEO wants to have a word, but before he does, I want to have a word with him. Okay. So I've got an item that's not on the agenda that's going to come because I've been told about this particular thing. I'm just wondering whether or not your comments, and only you will know this because you know what you're going to say, your comments might be better suited to the item or to this public forum.
If it's okay with you, I'd really like to respond to Gail.
Yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. Because we will have more opportunity. Okay, go.
Okay.
Hi, Gail. I'm Sean Clark. I'm the CEO of the council. Can I start just by saying that I spent a long time overseas in another career defending democracy, and you're a perfect example of what makes it worthwhile. I'm not just, this is not puffery, it really makes a difference when people stand up with petitions and passion and at a particular point, because we're all too busy to notice until the pressure comes on, and that's what you bring. So this genuinely makes a difference. We had conversations yesterday. I was in hospital actually yesterday on the phone talking about glyphosate with some of my stuff. It doesn't happen unless you do what you do. The situation we're in is that we need to clear our roads of weed and its and unwanted vegetation, and it's often not as simple as mowing. Sometimes it is, but because we have such a big district, we've got to find economies of scale, a mass control regime, if you like, and make it simple.
So, can I stop you there?
Yeah.
Okay. The way where you're going with this, I think it's a little better off if you wait 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Because it's kind of like it's part of a debate. So
Gail,
you have 5 minutes.
Will you still be in the room, Gail, when we talk to this?
Yes, she will. I'm going to ask you, B. Yeah.
Apparently.
Yeah, no. I mean, what I'd like to do is have a bit of a debate about it.
I'm open to that, Mike.
Great. Okay. Thank you, Gail.
Okay.
Have a seat.
Okay.
Okay. And that's the public forum done. So if anybody's not here for the spraying and just here for the meeting, you're quite welcome to watch. But have a seat, Gail, and Louis is just about to bring something up. So, so as I understand it, Louis, if I understand you correctly, you'd like to discuss this item?
I would love to discuss this.
Okay, but you do realise that the Goima rules prevent us from discussing things on the agenda.
Yep.
Okay, unless there's a reason that they weren't on the agenda, unless there's a reason that they couldn't wait. And what are those reasons, please?
Well, those reasons are that they haven't had an opportunity to discuss this before this advertisement.
No, to me, to the
This
chair.
advertisement went in,
Yeah.
and there's been very little time for discussion with the community over this thing. It's been in the pipeline for a long time. COVID has stalled it, and the to get on top of it.
So as I understand it, okay, you wish to discuss and deal with this item under Lagoima section 46A, okay, and the reason you couldn't do it before is because this has just come up and because we can't carry on because the spraying is imminent, is that right?
Yeah, the spraying is imminent.
Okay, right. Okay, so I basically need a motion from the floor that we discuss and deal with this item now.
Yeah, I'll move that.
Do we have a seconder?
Yeah, I'll second that.
Okay, all those in favour?
Aye.
Anybody against? Okay, right. So at this point in time, I also need because we don't know exactly how we're going to deal with it, okay? I guess you don't. I'd like a motion to suspend standing orders so that we can actually discuss without having a motion on the floor.
Mike, just before you do that, we got a letter from our secretary to say that June was going to speak and she never got that opportunity.
Okay, okay, after this.
Okay.
We're not going to break this. Okay.
My council actually runs into.
There's probably another 10 minutes. Okay, so I need to. Okay, so can I have a motion to suspend standing orders? Okay. Second. Okay, so the standing orders will be suspended so that we can have a quick discussion without having a motion on the floor. Okay, so. Where I'd like to take this, okay, is that I think we do need a discussion. We've got an issue that I don't think is going to be solved today because it's a much bigger issue. So I'd like to put in place some kind of discussion for the future, right? And to achieve the aims here. So my suggestion, okay, is that after we adjourn from Mointi, we come back here and we make a motion to create a community board committee, okay, for this specific purpose, okay? And the idea of a community board committee is that we can have non-elected members on it, okay? And then we can, and this committee can then go on forward to have a meaningful discussion with council as part of the community board.
So, Mr. Chair.
No, we just did it. You missed it. Yeah. Yeah. Sorry, John?
After you, John, I'm going to just make a comment after John.
This is just open discussion, man. There's no motion.
I've got some undertakings to announce, so I just wonder whether I'll wait before you jump to subcommittees and things.
Okay.
You may decide it's not enough.
Okay, so what we're doing is just gathering ideas of ways to move forward. Okay, and then once we've got that, we'll put a motion on the floor.
Yeah. So I will then speak in favour of what Mike is saying. We did talk about this, and if I understand, Gail made it very clear 2 or 3 or 4 times actually, and that is what she wanted to do was to actually have that opportunity to sit down with council and formally look at options. Is that summarising it all right? And so you didn't have any particular solution. You realised that there is potentially additional costs and so on, and there are many solutions. And effectively, you wanted a forum to sit down, and I'd say that could include our experts to talk to that forum as well, to look at potential options going forward. That's correct. And therefore, having a subcommittee, I see as a great forum, which is to allow that to happen.
I mean, I suppose what we're actually asking for was to actually trial it. And what happened, just to say in the discussion with Andy Finch, and this is nothing against Andy, was that it ended up feeling like we had to come up with all the solutions as a community, and I think that's just not appropriate. We want this to happen, and we want to be involved in discussions. We'd like a commitment to a trial, but we would like council to actually not just expect us to come up with the answers.
Okay. So an answer to, I guess, the reason I suggested a committee here is because the Local Government Act does actually make room for the council to support the work of the community board and as committees. So I guess what I mean, to paraphrase what the CEO was saying, I mean, this is an extension, but this is a bedding in of democracy, so to speak. We're placing our bets on a democratic process. And your comments, Gail, about trial and engaging. I mean, I don't know that we've got much ability to affect this year. I seriously doubt it. But it's been going on for 10 years now, and if we don't deal to it, it'll probably go on for another 10 or 100 years. So I think even if we're going to deal with those years going forward, then it's worthwhile starting now. So any other comments before I put a motion?
Just very quickly, we heard yesterday that we aspire to be a community-led council, and by actually doing this, we're actually sitting down with the community and involving them in coming to a collective solution. So I'm actually in favour of it.
Any other comments?
So therefore the two councillors will be part of that. So.
We'll deal with that in a second. Okay. Now I've got a question for you, Gail. Okay. I mean, and this is take it how you want. But do we have, if we were to name or want a couple of people from the community who were level-headed and informed?
Are you including me in this or not?
Oh, look, my experience with you definitely indicates that you're one of the people I'm talking about, right? But I'm just wondering, do you know of a second person?
Yeah, there are many people because there's more than one group here. I mean, I'm representing the environmental group.
Well, we're not going to load this committee with people from the community, right? I mean, basically, this is going to be an opportunity.
There's also the Rawane ratepayers group.
Yeah.
So we'd be looking at having somebody from Rara.
So I mean, this here will be a community board committee. Okay, that can then go out and can do whatever it wants with regard to public meetings and so forth. But we just need some kind of body here that can liaise with the community board and then the council, that the council pretty much has to recognise, okay?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, I mean, I don't think we'll be able to push the rules enough to have all and sundry on this committee. Sure. And nor do we, like I say, do we want the committee to be swamped with those that aren't necessarily aware of the rules that we are subject to.
Yeah. Okay. Well, if you say how many people from the community can come,
I'm suggesting two, but I mean the discussion will come.
Yeah, then we can sort out between the different groups who the people, and there are many level-headed, articulate people who are very well aware of the processes in the Rawane area.
Okay, cool.
Many.
Okay, so I move that we move back into standing orders, or sorry, re-establish standing orders. Do I have a seconder?
Yeah.
Okay, all those in favour?
Aye.
Okay, so my motion at this point is that the community board establish a Hokianga spraying committee consisting of two community members to be named by the committee itself, and those elected members who wish to be on the committee. Okay, with its chair being Mike Edmonds for now. Do I have a seconder?
Should it be Hokianga or should it be Rawane, seeing the specific issue?
Well, that's fair enough. The motion is the motion. Okay.
I like the idea of Hokianga.
The motion is the motion. Okay, and you can amend it as you see, please. Second. Okay. Okay. Do I have a discussion? Just amongst the members here first. I mean,
we talk about this being so important for our own health. I'm a bit concerned that there are only going to be 2 members from the community when there have been other people prior, who've spoken about this. So why are we limiting the community
Okay, no, we're not limiting, my plan is not to limit the community input. My plan here is to establish a body, a democratic body, okay, directly associated with the community board, okay, that the community board effectively still has control over, okay, that can then go out and engage with the community at that level. But the idea is that we need a body that the council has to engage with, right? I mean, the council, it'll be a public body, there'll be public meetings, and then that committee can go out and do its stuff in the public. So I don't think we're looking to limit the number of people involved. It's just that on this committee, we cannot have all the sundry. Okay, I mean, it'll be a community board committee, and it's not our job as elected members to hand that over to what I would term a special interest group at this stage.
So if I can add to that, Mr. Chair, and answer Emma, it's not limiting the community. It's effectively, as the Chair said, creating a body that can formally engage through this process.
Sure.
And call in expertise, including staff and whoever else, and members of the public to be involved, so that everybody's actually here. So it's really providing that conduit between the community and their concerns, and looking at potential solutions and council. And we'll be reporting back to community board.
Can I ask a question, Mr. Chair?
Not really. Not really.
Just want to go on with this.
Okay. Any further questions or any further comments about this? Okay, and who would out of this committee, out of this board here, who would like to be part of that?
I don't know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But should a councillor there as well?
Am I still allowed to speak?
No,
the council, not yet.
I think we need two councillors.
Yeah. Okay, so who wants to be on?
I will.
Louis. I guess I'll better turn up to Lisa. You, John, is it?
Yeah.
Does Alan want to be on it, Jürgen? Muckle?
No, he's too busy.
Does Alan want to be on it, do you think?
It's really important.
Louis? Sorry, does Alan want to be on it?
Oh, Alan will probably be interested because it does affect the open only quite significantly.
Okay, right. Any other questions? Okay, now, we are going to carry on with this after this, straight after this, so do you have a comment? Brief comment? Because there'll be an opportunity to talk about your comments shortly. Shortly? Yeah, very shortly. Okay, right.
June Hicks. She.
No, we're going to get that. So, okay, right now. Depending on direction, I'm going to get. You've got 15 seconds to state your piece.
Me?
Yeah, so because if we're going in the wrong direction, then we're.
Well, the only thing that I was sitting here thinking is this is like, in terms of coming here, it's not a bad outcome, but it frustrates me that the council can't just trial the alternatives, which is actually what we're asking for.
Okay, so
I'm not saying I won't do it, but can you not just say let's trial Rowan?
Okay, so that's out of scope of what we're doing right now. Okay, but that's not to say that you can't at the break, which we will do in a second, or we'll do in a minute, that you can't have that discussion with us. But it's out of scope right now for this.
Okay.
Okay. Right. All those in favour? Aye. Anybody against? Okay, carried. Okay. So we've got it's Louis, Emma, Mike, John, Alan, and 2 members of the public to be stated later. So what I'm going to suggest now, okay, is that we want to deal with this, okay, and I'm going to suggest that we adjourn this meeting and have a quick meeting of this committee. Okay, now it's going to be a fairly limited thing to be able to do because there's no agenda for it. Okay, and we are severely restricted by the fact there's no agenda. However, the CEO has some stuff to say, and you've probably got some stuff to say. Yep. Okay, so we can have that discussion. Okay, and then we can adjourn the meeting and then effectively have a way forward, so to speak. Okay.
Can I just ask when does June Hicks speak?
About
there was a letter that came from June Hicks and we were given that she was going to have the right to speak. Okay. And she hasn't had that opportunity.
When we dealt with this item, we will get that.
Okay.
Well, we do adjourn, and since I'm not on that committee, can I have lunch?
Of course you can. Okay, so I'll adjourn this meeting, okay? And so for all those on the, what's it called? What's the committee called? The Hokianga Brain Committee?
Oh, the Hokianga.
Okay. Okay, stay, and I'll reopen the meeting. Okay, so if all those that aren't on it can go and have lunch.
What about the audience? Can they go and have lunch?
No, they talk part of it. Laurie, you're not part of this committee. You can either sit in or you can have lunch or whatever you want. And same with you, Bogle.
to say before I start that having people standing here speaking, the people behind can't hear what they've actually said.
Oh, yeah, we understand. Yeah, that is the problem.
Because we're all getting old.
Yeah, no, that's why we give people the opportunity to sit in the seats that they want.
Right, so I can say good morning, but I can't. I should say good afternoon instead. My name's Rebecca, and I come on behalf of Broadwood Whanganui Wai community, and we would like the help of the board to get our replacement bridge put in. Well, I thought it was a long-term plan, but you say maybe it's the annual plan.
Oh.
So, well, anyway, so that's our submission that we would like a replacement bridge. So this is the history of the bridge. So you can see it's part of our heritage for the community. But besides being heritage, I'm part of the progressive committee that was set up in the Twin Lakes Discovery Route we put through. And we want to beautify and provide things for the tourists to stop and look at and do. And so this bridge was one of those things that we did. And if you look at the notes that I sent out, you'll see that we had lots of plans going ahead, and it meant having the bridge because the council land is more on the other side of the bridge than on the main road. We've actually developed the council land on the front, on the main road, and so we were going to add more things on the south side of the bridge. So now that we have lost the bridge at the moment, and it's been closed for quite a while, all those plans have gone by the board because you need that walkway. We thought that we had done the council's process of doing a community plan, and I think if you look on page 7, you'll find that it's in there, and it says to sort of upgrade and the bridge for the North Hokianga. So page 7, underneath the economy, and this is one of our ways of making economy because the tourists stop and the locals use it. The local communities, the wider ones in Broadwood, they stop at the shop for petrol because we're the last petrol station between Broadwood and Kaikohe on the main roads. And often they stop and ask us, where is there something to do while we're stopped in Broadwood? Because a lot of them do go to Auckland and back for fun meetings and things. And their children are pretty happy by the time they get to Broadwood. They want something to do. So they have asked us to provide them with that. So we believe we've done that. I do have the council letter saying that they own the bridge. So I'll give you a copy of that. Fortunately, I found it and kept a copy. You can have got one. Yeah. The old church is still there. It's not used in the church at the moment. I know that you've heard lots of ideas already for why we should keep it, and so I don't really want to take up all your time. So I thought I'd give you what I was going to present to the board, and then you can mull it over. Mostly because of the economy. It was one way for us, our community made works. It probably doesn't work anymore, does it?
Yes,
Yep. We don't need any more downturn in economy in small country areas. And this was one way for us. It was up in the airport in Auckland to help people come to Northland and walk on it. And as you'll see in my notes, was in other places at the time. So what I'm submitting to you today is, please, can you help us to get it into the community plans? And can you help us to get the council on board to come and at least meet us and talk to us and see if the way forward. We have got a couple of members who have been searching bridges, and we've even actually got an estimate that she's been given for one type of bridge. But we need to look at all sorts and what's the best place to put it and what's the best to have for whatever money is available. So if you want to ask any questions, I know you're later than you should be, so.
Yep, go for it.
Yeah, thank you very much for this. This is great. Emma and I did say, I think maybe was interested that we want to come out. I wouldn't mind coming out and seeing the first hand again taking some pictures and asking any questions. I can't digest all this at the moment, right here, and then go forward. I understand, and here's the question, I understand that, I'll leave it to him to arrange the time. I understand, when you say it's in the community plan, are you talking about?
It's in our last community plan, the long-term plan.
Yeah, but not in our current one.
But not in the one that's coming up, the 21 and 31.
Yes, there is the community plan and then the council long-term plans and everything, it's a different thing. Are you talking about wanting to?
Sorry, we thought the process was the council asked us to go through and do a community plan and put it in there. So it's in there, but we need to put it in the council long-term plan, I think.
We can do that.
Yeah, no, we'll do that. That's another issue, and that's a whole number of community board members have complained about the distinct between communities and council.
So there's no longer an annual plan then? I don't need to follow that up? Or?
No, there is an annual plan. There's not necessarily submissions going out for consultation on the annual plan. And that's what I was saying before, but there is a long-term plan and it has to be in the long-term plan. It's very hard to get something into a annual plan or the long-term plan if it's not already been gone through. That process is coming up because there is by law a necessary function to go out to consult with all the public. So we'll get out there, everyone and whoever else wants to come and we go through all that.
We would really appreciate that if you could see what we're talking about. Yes.
A quick question that I have, if I can ask them. The footbridge. Now there's been problems in the past with erosion further down the toilet washing instance.
Yes, right.
Is there any problems there with where the piles are at the moment?
Not at the moment. What's happened with the piles is because they've changed the teaching to what it was. So you can see that it was a straight bridge and it swung into a bridge that now undulates. And what we believe is that that extra tension has been put on the middle and it's pulled.
It's pulled down.
So
they could be a danger.
They changed the design when they did the renovations to it.
Okay.
That's our thinking.
Because it only lasted 3 days after it was open.
So the renovations were done and we were in trouble as soon as it happened. And how long after the renovations were done was the bridge closed?
3 days.
3 days. So it's actually a stuff up by whoever decided.
We believe that, but no one's told us.
I don't believe it was the original design. I've actually got that if you need to look at that, or when you come out, I've got the original plans. We just believe that it's happened since with all the different people that have worked on it without consultation.
It's not the weight that's done it, or it's more the tension.
But we don't know.
We're not engineers, but it doesn't work anyway. It's closed. And we have agreed for them to take the walkway off, because what happens when they close it, the community waits and nothing happens with it being restored, and so they go and take all the barriers down and use the bridge. Yeah. And they've just done that again recently, even though the community have said we would like them to take just the walkway, because sorry, but we don't trust the council. If they take the whole thing away, we thought that would be the end of it.
That's probably a fair call.
So we asked if they took the walkway so that we had something to work with.
Okay. Sorry. Yep. I would like to bring a qualified engineer with me. Is that all right?
Yes, no. This actually, do you want them to talk to a chief been working with the firm that the council had used before, because I believe they like to use.
Oh, look, let's just deal with that on the day.
Okay, yeah, that's fine.
Cool. Thank you very much.
For listening. Yes.
Yeah, great stuff.
Thanks, June. June, I'll be in contact.
Thank you. Yeah, you can just let us know when you come in. That would be awesome. We'll even feed you.
Okay.
Right. Any changes to the minutes? Sorry, any corrections to the minutes? No. Okay. All those in favour that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board confirms the minutes of their meeting held on 9th December 2020 the true and correct record. Anybody against? Carried. Okay, so why don't we get on to, well, let's do item 7.1 to start with, and that way we can go into public conclusion that there's nothing after. So we have the report writer with us for questions. So would someone like to move the motion to start with?
I'll move the motion.
Okay, so Emma moves that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board receives the report, Kaikohe Streetscape Projects, dated 3rd February 2021. Do I have a seconder?
Yep, I'll second
Okay, all those in favour? Oh, hang on, no, back up. What am I saying? All those, second, no, we're talking now, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
That wasn't a vote.
Yeah.
That was a mistake. Okay, so Shane,
Yes.
would you like to join us at the table? You don't have to say anything unless questions. So, I mean, if somebody has a question for you, they will question you. But you're not required to make a presentation or anything. Does anybody have any either questions or talkies about this? Anything to say about this motion?
Kind of.
Okay, away you go, Kelly.
So that money that's in there, that streetscape money, nearly $700,000, if that is used for these projects, where does that leave the Main Street and any money to fix anything in there? I mean, I'm all for this, obviously, but I'm kind of like, some of those business people in town have been waiting an awful long time for a new footpath, and I mean, there are roads up there of neglect. So if we use all of this money to do this really cool stuff, when and how are we going to get money back to put into the Main Street and fix that?
I can't answer that. What I can say is that, in my understanding, is that this money has been specifically set aside for this project.
No, that is not true.
Okay, so the footpaths are assets owned by the council that they have to maintain. Okay, so when the time comes around for them to replace the footpaths, they will. Okay,
Yeah, but this money was Main Street streetscape money, and it was building for a long time to get to that point to do the Main Street. And now we're going to take it away from the Main Street and create this cool stuff.
At the behest of the community board, right? I mean, this is our project.
I know, but then when I'm starting to look at it, I'm thinking, actually, in my first term, and I used to walk those footpaths, and I told people a long time ago, no, the money is coming and it's in this thing here.
Yeah,
and Andrew Young, actually, who wrote that letter, was the same man that we were discussing it with.
Okay, and there's also extra money for town beautification in the long-term plans. I mean, there has been money put aside for longer beautification across the district, so within the separate of this.
So we're not going to lose the ability to do something in the Main Street because...
Well, I mean, all I can say, Kelly, is that we've got a strategic statements of sort for the community board, and I don't think that the community board has discussed the footpaths in the Main Street for the last 5 years that I've been involved.
No,
so this is coming out of left field for me.
I try to find my old books with my old notes that talk about that money, and so I mean, I'm all good with it. But I'm kind of like, what happens when those business people in town go, hang on a minute, that was for our upgrade, and you guys.
These are the same business people, okay, who won't join the business association and all voted against the maintenance of their lights and their CCTV. These are the same ones you're talking about?
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, you know what I think about that.
I think you've got that wrong, Mr. Chairman.
Yeah.
What they voted against was there was no budget for it. There was no one who was going to maintain it, who was going to look at where did the complaints go to. There was just no explanation. It was put out less than a week before it closed.
Yeah, I know.
Just didn't give the people the opportunity to talk about it or whatever. It was badly done.
Yeah,
you want to do something, do it properly.
You have my full agreement there, Laurie. I'm really disappointed that because we were getting that out, and that's what they did to us. Absolutely.
I have a question. Yep. Yeah, I think it looks really great. On page 84, I think Laurie might be interested in this one. On page 84, it shows the pink area outlined and the pump track that was been included, which I think Laurie went on those strips for the pump track, but it was that was Sean saying that it could potentially announce the opportunities of the Park Hill and the bump track and so on. Now that's all we've been on this thing. Been there for a while, and why I raised this because ARCO are the ones that said, look, we do have our clothes on that, and we should be purchasing
I noticed in that plan there was plans to get rid of some of the trees, or a substantial number of the trees. Is that wise move, or is it wise?
Yeah, well, that's pine trees, private land, and price down is probably asked it.
Sorry, did you ask it?
It's pine trees, private land, planted, and you probably harvest the trees and still land off cheap. It just does open up opportunities. So the question is that on the long-term plan still?
What's that? Who are you asking? Me?
No.
I don't think it is. This is the long-term plan.
It's price for the youngsters.
Yeah, for purchase of the long-term plan. There's something to find out. I think it is. Actually. I just didn't want it to be lost, that's all.
Okay, I'll have another one too.
Any other comments?
Yep.
Yep.
So, in all of this too, I think it actually talks about the stage that there's money for coming up, or where the power supply is going to be, and then on the lighting thing on page 72.
No, yeah, Anna's actually coming over, I believe, yeah.
Oh, okay. I would have waited for her. I thought
Yeah,
she
sorry,
waited.
I was meant to text you, but I was.
Oh, I would have waited. Sorry.
So yeah, she's got in here that she's allowing for 5 new lights, but then she's got not available or not applicable or something, but shouldn't those lights be in here?
Yeah, she would have to answer.
Yeah, well, that's the thinking, like, amenity lighting, street lighting. So she's allowing for 5 new lights, but I don't know, I just don't think they should go in last or later, but she must know where they're going. Yes? No?
I don't know. I mean, I know that they think they're talking about lights, and I asked the same question. I don't know that they know right now where they're going. Which is
a bit strange, don't you think?
So I did point out to her that we do have an amenity light.
Oh, I mean, I've got a question that's suggested already. It seems we have, it talks about, just picking up what Kelly says, 688,000. There was no estimated cost to other time notes, did I miss something? To put this on the ground?
At the moment, there isn't.
Yeah. So you'll go out each year? So presumably you go out for tender and we'll go out, there'll be some work being done, maybe I can address it too.
Yeah.
I know.
Actually, Tanya, probably.
We're on your topic. Right, beyond your topic.
I know, so.
Is Tanya
No, she is not, she's on there.
Okay.
So the question I had, it looks really great, Anna, the whole design and everything. Thank you very much for all of that. The question I actually had is in the report it identifies the funding that we've got available, but is there any estimate of the total cost to do it? And I understand there hasn't been none yet. I'm just getting a feel for probably trying to answer some of the questions that Kelly provided us. So it's got 688,000. The funding of 688,000 in the draft 2131 later. But to do this task here, to do all this nice design, Any idea what it's going to ballpark, since you've done these things before, what's the ballpark figure? I know it's probably an unfair question. What's going to be like?
No, so that's kind of why we've outlined 3 projects. I think the other 2 are mentioned in the report. I'm assuming. Yeah. So there's 3 projects and we really just get as much done as we can with that funding. So the next phase is to do construction drawings and then get it all priced.
So you're actually going to use all that funding that you've mentioned?
Over the next 3 years, yeah, we were hoping to. But I literally don't know how much this is all going to
No, because it'll be spent somewhere else. If there's anything left, that'll be spent somewhere else in this area.
Yeah, so I mean, the next phase was for us to do the construction drawings, get it priced, and then the Memorial Park was kind of the first focus point. Yeah. The first project to be completed, and then there was the cycle connection, and then the third one is the pump track, an area that we're currently doing as part of the Limbert Park master plan, which I think is in the back of.
So Chair, if I can ask a question. So, and thanks for that. So that's where it's sitting at the moment. Yeah, so on page 84, it shows the pump track there.
Yeah.
Really nice. But in pink is you're highlighting this area which is in private hands. Yeah. I remember you saying that would be quite a useful addition to the overall park, or not? Should that be purchased? Is that?
Well, we had thought that would be valuable for the park, but that's a conversation that got quickly shortened. So you could have that corridor with the council about that.
But that would be another cost, wouldn't it, if we...
Yeah, so you'd have to purchase it, so I don't actually know how much that would cost.
It's not a high cost, what's it like to be?
Okay. It's been every few minutes.
Apparently purchasing of land doesn't fall into any budgets or repayment schemes or anything like that. So as I understand it from the events of the last few months, you can just purchase land free. It just comes out of budget air.
Wow, isn't that fantastic?
One more question.
Really wealthy.
58k we did win for this financial year for town beautification. Have you had contact or feedback and where that's going to go?
So there is some final design work that needs to be done to complete these projects. So we were hoping, I mean, either that comes out of next year's budget or some of that could be spent on that.
I'm just keen to start, but I don't want to be sitting. It's one of the things that provided us and said that Kaikohe doesn't know what it wants, and I agree Kaikohe does know what it wants. So I'd like to see that being started to be used.
Yeah.
Actually, this report was about telling us that it's underway more than it is anything else. This is a communication to the community board of what's happening rather than anything else. It's not.
How do we actually submit to it?
Just submissions that took place over the last 3 years.
Because page 73 would be totally unacceptable to me. Why plant tall trees in the middle of the playground? You'll get nothing but maintenance. Whatever, it's a real problem. I can understand you planting small plants that attract birds and feed birds, like flax and that sort of stuff.
Yeah, so we've had
or something. Yeah. Why plant tall trees?
So we've had a conversation about that being low planting.
Pardon?
We've had a conversation since this was drawn that needs to be low planting.
So you're talking about
There'll be low planting.
Pardon?
There'll be low level planting.
Not tall trees anymore?
No.
Okay, well it doesn't say that. That's what I'm asking. How do we actually submit to that? How do I know that those tall trees are taken out? How do I know that?
I think that we just needed to clarify that the intention was that it would be things like flaxes. So it's not tall trees, it will be shrubs. So I think that's an issue with the clarity of the drawing. The Memorial Park has a lot of trees in it and it doesn't mean...
Okay, I appreciate that and thank you. But if this goes past and done, showing this, what comeback have I got? Where is it written that you've actually reduced that and taken those out?
I think that's the next step as we, if we can move forward with developing the design, then we'll make sure that that's really clear what that planting should be in our next drawing.
Okay, thank you.
Can I go back to my light question there? So on page 22, which one is that? You've got only a little drop-down thing about the lights. Like lighting allow 5 new light poles, but then you've got things to say not applicable, not available. I'm not quite sure what that is. Do you know where those 5 lights are going to go?
So I guess this is still a concept level. Like we will work through that process of identifying where they need to go.
You're not going to put them in later?
No, so we've got to do the construction set of drawings, which will lay out all the light fittings and have that extra layer of detail, and there'll be a landscaping plan which will identify which plants are going where, and so this is purely to get the approval to proceed with that.
What was the upshot of the Parapuku?
Paripaku?
Yeah, what was the upshot? I mean, because there was still some negotiations going on between you and Tanya, I guess, with regard to services available and so forth. So
the location has been confirmed that we can Paripaku there.
Yeah.
We're still in conversation with them about what that design is and can it be adapted from what's already been designed. So that question has gone to them. We're just waiting to hear back.
Yeah, I don't want something that's completely out of step with what you're designing.
Yeah, so, I mean, we haven't seen the report, so what is the total amount? There was a certain amount. How much has been allocated for the Paripaku?
Originally it was 150.
Okay.
It's not even a third of what they spent elsewhere.
Or 3 times what they spent last year.
What did they pay for those new toilets they got in Opanoni?
Sure. I seem to recall the budget.
But with those things, usually those budgets are highly inflated because to try and attract that funding elsewhere, because councils
don't know.
That's what happened in Broadwater.
Oh, yeah, Broadwater was a one out of the box, though, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I assume that maybe that's happening elsewhere too.
No.
Don't know.
Any other questions?
What's the cost of the next set of drawings?
Well, we have to get engineers involved, some of the other subcontractors we had.
I need an arborist input to look at trees and building around under trees, engineering, civil and structural. That's a big
So you don't have the next phase cost to get all those costings. So to go get quotes from the relevant subcontractors to get the final set of drawings ready so it can be built.
Are there any plans for the bowl that's too deep?
So we have been looking at the redesign of the Papatakaro, the playground, and actually potentially utilising that as more of the playground space and filling part of it in. But again, it will be developed, but potentially putting a tramp or something in there that's we've heard from the community, rather than just completely filling it in and not utilising it, we thought we could cover it and make it part of the playground space. But yeah.
Well, a tramp would be good then.
It's a really expensive tramp.
To avoid costs of engineers, can we not use the engineers from council or not?
Apparently, no. We said that we asked them that, but no, they outsource most of that now. But council can confirm.
I thought this is all connected to council. So what's?
No, I think the council always helps. Yeah.
Eh?
I think the council contracts out that kind of thing.
Mr. Chairman, on the positive side, I'd like to say thank you for page 84, and you should start there. The sooner the better.
Oh, the cycle park.
I think that's wonderful. The sooner the better.
Yep. Oh, that's fantastic. That's great. Cool.
That one there, will that one come out of sports force money? Or is that going to come out of potentially
So, I mean, so as part of what we've been doing for Limbit Park, there's a whole master plan and there's heaps of projects that are falling out of that, but their funding is specifically for the sports complex. But we saw that project as part of that works could be part of this, so they don't have funding to do that. So it would need to be funded elsewhere, but we just sort of kind of fit it in with the other two projects.
Why can't we look in
There,
with the provincial growth fund?
I think they'll easily spend that.
They got 9 million.
But what about the cycle trail? Didn't they have money for contracts and all that stuff?
No, they didn't have, there's never been funding for it. It's been a dream to get developed, but there hasn't been QTF.
Okay, no, I understood there was, but you're correct.
Yeah, and so we actually had we've had a conversation about it yesterday, that it's something that the community wants, and now we've got a location that we think it really works. But there isn't funding, but I'm not saying we can find funding elsewhere if it doesn't fit within this pocket either. But Sportsville's money is definitely tied up in the new sports complex and surrounding spaces around that. I can't see them having money for this, but I could be wrong.
And so the streetscape money, is that going to attract, money from government if you use it for another funder?
Could potentially.
Is that in the place?
Not that I'm aware of.
Sorry, I couldn't hear the question.
Are we looking at outside funding? Are we looking at this money to attract outside funding?
Some of these things would be funded by NZTA. Yeah.
So that would increase the budget. So say you might get another 300,000 from other sources or whatever.
So we've been in Kōrero with Waka Kotahi, NZTA, and there's elements within these that they've said they haven't definitely said they can contribute, but to like the cycle lanes they can do, and potentially the learn to ride bike track, but I just haven't got them locked down to that.
That's cool.
We haven't got it, don't get excited. But yeah, still having that conversation with them to see, obviously we'll try to get money from elsewhere where we can to make ours go as far as we can. But I think, once we start and we show that we've got projects and a plan, that we can attract more pūtea to implement them.
Any more questions, Vana?
When are you going to start working with the KBA to do the Main Street? Or are you already?
The Main Street?
Yeah.
As in what
Broadway.
A whole redesign of?
Yeah. I know you did the NZTA one.
Yeah.
They can link.
Yeah, so definitely the design of Broadway is another big kaupapa, which is in the pipeline, but we haven't, you'd need to do like an urban plan around that.
So that'll be another cost again.
Well, it's a whole nother project, I guess, yeah. I think, if we can get these ones implemented, then we know what the next project is, and we just plan and we just keep them, a plan to keep implementing so that we can see tangible outcomes in the community. These are good visible ones to start with.
Yeah, well, let us know sometime what an urban plan would cost us in those kind of numbers, and we'll make sure it appears in a long-term plan somewhere.
We're going to spend more money.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Right. I'll put the motion that we receive the support. All in favour? Aye. Anybody against? Carried. Right. Okay, so. Thank you. Okay, item number 6.1 we'll start with. Do I have a motion, please?
Yeah.
Okay, so Kelly moves that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board receives the report of Kaikohe-Hokianga Statement of Community Board Fund Account as of 31st of December 2020. Got a seconder? Yeah, got it. John. All those, sorry, any discussion?
No.
All those in favour?
Aye.
Carried. Okay. That was COVID related, not spent. Because that was when we were in COVID lockdown, and we asked those to carry over, and we said, yep, there's no problem. So we've actually got that money as well, is that right? On top of that.
But were there prior years?
No. There might be, but I don't think there was, because we basically wrapped them all up. Okay, so this I guess that's the amount there, yeah?
Yeah.
Okay, so we've got that much to spend. Okay. Right, can I have a motion, please? Yeah, well, no, we'll put the motion first, and then one of you will suggest that we go into committee for the purposes of free and frank discussion, and we'll do that. Okay, so Louis moves with the blanks.
Yeah, second.
Okay, that all.
Are we not going to go through each recommendation?
But it's all been put together as one thing. So we'll recommend the whole lot, then we'll come back and amend.
Okay.
So I will read the motion as it's been placed, that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board, in considering the provisions of the community grant policy, authorise the sum of blank to be paid from the board's community fund account to Man versus Wild, blank to the Manaki Tinana Trust, blank to the North Hokianga A&P Society Inc., and blank to the Diniwara Collective. Do I have a second now?
Yeah.
Okay, right.
They've all been moved and seconded already, all as one.
All is one, that's right. Okay, so I move that we move into public exclusion for the purposes of free and frank discussion.
I'll second that.
And privacy of individuals. And we've got a second. All those in favour? Okay.
So give me one moment to make sure the live feed is Casey? Confirmed live start.
Okay, we have started again.
Okay, so back in the regular meeting. So the recommendation is pretty much as written, including the numbers as written. So are there any more comments that don't need to be in public exclusion?
No.
Okay, so
So motion to move out of closed meeting into public?
oh, we did that before, didn't we?
Moved and seconded?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so the motion is before we vote on it, the motion is that the Kaikohe-Hokianga Community Board, in considering the provisions of the community grant policy, authorise a sum of $1,600 plus GST to be paid for the board's community fund to the Man vs Wild, 1560 to Manaki Tinana Trust, 3,720 to the North Hokianga AMT Society, and $2,000 to Ninuai Tobacco. All those in favour? Anybody against? Carried. Okay, is there anything that needs to be sorted before I close this meeting? Right, we can have anything that doesn't belong there can be discussed afterwards. Okay, meeting closed. Thank you.
Thank you, Casey.